What's up, guys? This is the gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you guys. Please hit the like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let's have a little bit of interaction here, guys. Engagement is important in these crazy days of YouTube. But listen, guys, I want to talk about another important story. I saw this story here. And, guys, I would love to just do videos talking about games and TV shows and movies and cartoons and things like that. I'm a big kid. You guys see what's going on in the background and everything. I love my entertainment and things, But listen, we as black people, we got to understand, man, we got a lot of unfinished business. For a lot of the black content creators out there, you don't like to talk about real stuff. Everybody likes to keep it light and everything. But in the midst of all of us keeping it light and avoiding the deeper issues and stuff, things are getting worse. There's a lot of things out here that are not right. I'm not saying that things are not good for some of us. My life is going pretty well, I like to think. But I also can't ignore what's going on out here. You remember Marvin Gaye, when he was known for just doing ballads and things like that. He was like, you know what? I can't ignore what's going on out here. So he made the song What's Going On. There's far too many of you crying. There's far too many of you dying. For a black man of conscience, which I believe that most of us should be, you should dedicate at least some of your content to talking about what's real out here. That's just my opinion. I can't tell people what to do, with their platform, because it can't all be just, I don't know, heavy stuff and everything. There's something to be said for clowning and, lightheartedness and everything. I like to have my sense of humor as well. So I don't want to come off as too judgmental, but I'm just saying, guys, there's a lot going on out here. And as I've said from the very beginning when I was doing these videos, there are far too many of the wrong of us. There are far too many of us who are speaking way too loud, who don't know what they're talking about, who are damaging to the community. And those of us who know better, we don't speak up enough. We don't speak loudly enough. So anyway, I want to talk about this story, which is pretty messed up, and I want to share it with you because, listen, guys, we have to get to the bottom of what's going on, in our communities and with our kids and with our people and everything. Because if we don't do it, then if you don't deal with it, if you don't handle yourself, if you don't fix yourself, then someone is going to come in and try to fix you. Everybody wondering, why is Trump sending in National Guard and stuff like that? Because you let the shit go on too far, man. If there are men in the community, black men and things like that, we got to start taking more charge of what's going on, with our children, inside of our community, things like that. It is the responsibility of men. I'll say it. I know a lot of people don't like to think that, oh, you're being chauvinistic. But no, guys, it's the job of the man to be protector, to be a guide, for our young men, for our young girls, an example of who they should look to for companionship. And a lot of us are just not doing that, right? So we have this story here. Chicago mother with sickle cell, beaten, hospitalized by middle school kids. And it's all on heartbreaking video. It says a community demands accountability after one Chicago mother and her young children were viciously jumped by middle schoolers on camera. Here's a couple of stills, all right? This is the mother. She's trying to protect her child. She's getting pummeled by a middle schooler. Now, guys, you might remember I did a story, maybe like a couple of months ago, where I was talking about a little 5-year-old girl who got the hair ripped out of her scalp by two kids who were under the age of 10 years old. Guys, this is demonic, right? Demonic. And I don't want to hear about what white people do too, all right? We're talking about ourselves here. It starts at home, okay? This is the spirit of accountability that I always talk about. I know a lot of people don't like to hear about that, but white supremacy and things like that can only go so far, guys. You have to be accountable for yourself. You have to be able to stand up and say, enough. It's one thing to have to deal with the emotional, mental, and physical toll of a disease. And it's one thing to get jumped by a group of middle schoolers. But imagine dealing with both at the same time. That's what one Chicago mom reportedly experienced this week in a harrowing attack that was filmed. And now the community is demanding justice. In an Instagram account posted clips early Tuesday morning of a mother with two young children, including her 9-year-old son, being attacked while walking them home from the Orville Bright Elementary School on the city's far south side. The Chicago police said the attack unfolded Monday, just after 3 p.m. on the 10,600 block of South Bensley Avenue. In the extremely disturbing clips, young children can be seen repeatedly hitting the woman as she tried to shield herself from the blows. After she fell down, oh my God, this dog. After she fell down during the attack, other kids can be seen kicking her and stomping her, while other kids encouraged it and even celebrated. All right, let's take a look at a little bit of this video here while my son, well, he's like my son, my dog barks at whoever out the window. All right, let's take a look over here. Hold on, let's see if I can blow this up a little bit.
Shamar! Look at them ankles, boy. Shamar,
and you see she's trying to hold her child close to her while these kids are, you know, and this is the danger too. We like to have fun with your mama jokes and, you know, playing the dozens, but they're cracking on her shoes and all of this stuff, and it escalates.
Junior. Hey, so don't touch my brother foot.
Oh, hell no, those ain't grassy as fuck.
Look at them bitches, man, cracking that. Other bitches, Lauren. That's the
Now she's surrounded by these kids, guys. Now when you see kids this age, this young, you have to wonder, like, what's going on with the parents? You know, like what's going on? What's happening? These are kids that should have to answer to somebody. First of all, they're school age, so either they should be in school or on the way home from school, but you got all of these kids surrounding this mother with her children. This is disgusting. And she's shielding herself. Now you see, you hear in the background, you know, you hear people calling her bitch, you know, all of this stuff. Guys, you gotta wonder, man, like this is like a possession, a demonic possession. What are they being possessed by? Like, what is this spirit? Where does it come from? We need to be asking this question. Yes, I know a lot of us are doing well. I know a lot of people like to deflect. This is just a small section of black people. People like to say, you know, it's not all. We're not, listen, bro, I'm not talking about all, but there's a problem here. Okay. And like I've said on previous videos, you can find out that you have cancer in one finger and try to deflect and say that you have nine more. You know what I mean? But for that one that is infected, it can infect the rest. And that's what you see here. This woman isn't bothering anybody in this case anyway. You know what I mean? She's not bothering anybody, but you see the infected, like zombies, like The Walking Dead, the infected attack this person. Look at her child clinging to her for protection. You got to be concerned with this. This could be you walking down the block and surrounded by a bunch of kids. This could be your child, and it has been. You know, and you wonder why white people want to move away, you know, when they see black people. They don't know which ones are infected and which ones are not. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but this is practical. This is the reason why a lot of us talk about I need to get up out of the hood, because we know there are too many infected, and this is what you got here.
little kids in them, not the big kids. The big kids not touching them. I'm saying little kids. Oh, smash that bitch on my brother.
Oh.
Damn! Back!
Now the attack begins. Now they swarm. Here we go.
Damn! Hey, so let my homie go. Let my motherfucking homie go. Let my motherfucking...
She's on the ground. She's on the ground with her children, and they're pummeling her. And you know what, guys? They sound like some rabid chimpanzees. They do. That's what they sound like. I'm not saying, racial whatever. It's just what they sound like. They sound crazy. Like I said before, this is a very, very demonic spirit.
That motherfucker let me go. That motherfucker. Be a dad, Joe. They working on. They working on.
Guys, what the hell is going on? Can somebody tell me what this is? Why this is? All right? I know a lot of people like to attack me, but that has nothing to do with what's happening to this woman right here. Call me anti-black. Call me anti-black woman. That's a black woman who's on the ground being attacked right now. And we have people in this world that want to talk about, there's going to be a race war. There's going to be a race war. There are people who are opportunists who look at things like this, right? And they only care. Like if it was a white woman, it would be all over the media. And you'd have people like Matt Walsh, once again, people like Steven Crowder calling for race wars all over the place. But this is a problem for everybody. There's a sickness out here, and we need to understand it. We need to understand it because there are other people who want to make this a racial issue when it's a evil issue. It's a sickness. It's a disease. And this disease is all-encompassing. It won't stop with race, as you can see. There's no brotherhood, sisterhood here. These children will not be held accountable because of their age. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the scary thing about that. These are young middle school kids. What are they going to get? They won't get any serious time. If these people had died, if the mom or the children or whatever, what's the worst they could get? Maybe a couple of years or something like that. If that, send them for some some type of counseling or whatever. This is insane. And then on top of it, right, you got, let me see here. It says here, the girl allegedly involved in the viral beating of a pregnant woman and her 2 children speaks out with her mother, apologizes after being caught, and has her mother tell the internet, keep it respectful. This is a child. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? That's what it is. The children are demonically possessed. They're possessed with a spirit of evil, and they're being turned loose into the streets to do things that people twice their age used to do and get put in jail for. But they're not going to get put in jail for it. They're just going to keep wreaking havoc over and over again. So let's look at this real quick. Let's close this.
Anything, keep it respectful. This is the child.
Hey, my name is Kamara Grant, and
okay, she's fake crying, because she got caught and everything like that. But, here's the thing. These are children, okay? They are children, but that's what makes it even more disturbing. That children could be capable of this type of inhumane behavior, animalistic behavior. The fact that it's a child doesn't excuse it, but it's alarming. It's disturbing. And it says a lot for the parent. It says a lot for the community. It says a lot for society that gives birth to them. Why are they like this? Why do they not know that they're better than this? Those are good questions. Hold on.
I was wrong.
I don't see any tears. Y'all see any tears?
It's okay, Kamara. It's
for everything that I did. And I
To say anything, keep it respectful. This is the child.
If you say anything, keep it respectful because this is a child. I understand, you know, listen, moms, whatever, parents are going to want to protect their children and everything like that. But, bro, they could have killed that woman and her children. All right? That's just a fact.
Okay. My name is Kamara Grant, and I was wrong for everything.
It's okay,
I was
Kamara.
wrong.
Oh, it's okay, Kamara. It's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. What do we want to do? Do we want to do a GoFundMe? You want to do a GoFundMe? Want to send her tens of thousands, maybe millions of dollars, you know, to defend her? This is tragic. All right. This is tragic for her, for the child there, for all of these children who are growing up with these parents who are not raising them to be worth a shit. All right. Once again, the idea of accountability is lost here. She's talking about it's all right. It's all right. Man, I don't know. You know, you guys tell me. It's like I said, where does being a parent, a protective parent, and being someone who is accountable, you know, where's that line? Where's that distinction? You know, where does one end and the other begin? Because I'm not feeling it here, guys. You know, like I said, this is an issue. If she really loves her child, if I found out that my son was involved in something like this, I would feel like an absolute failure, And I would feel like I would rather see him going somewhere, you know, behind bars, something. If I knew that I had raised a menace to society, if I knew that, I'd be tempted to put him down myself. I refuse, you know, and I told my son this. I'm not raising you to be a criminal. You know, I'm not raising you to be an abuser. If that would be the case, I will never stand for you. I've told him this. Everyone who knows me knows that I told him this. I will never stand for you at a wedding. I will never stand up with you in a courtroom. Nothing like that. All right? You were not raised this way. You were not raised this way. All right, now let's look at this other one. You got one more, then we can get up out of here. Let's check this one out.
You know the whole city of Chicago looking for you, right? You and your little friends. Because you was grown yesterday. You were grown. And you was going to jump somebody. So now they looking for you. You know that, right?
Okay, so this woman thinks that the right thing to do is to get on camera, you know, and flex, you know, and talk about her child, who is one of the children, by the way, who beat up on the mother and her kids. You guys know I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I've been talking about my relationship with my son and everything. I might talk about discipline issues, but I will never, ever get on camera or put him on camera to discipline him or humiliate him. I don't know why people think this is a good idea. I don't know why people think that it's a good idea to say that beatings, you know, are the way, or the only way. Spankings, look, it's a very fine line, right? When they're little and everything. I could see spanking, you know, but you can't touch your children in anger. You have to be in control. You have to be measured. You have to know what you're doing. And you can't humiliate the child. The child has to know that it's coming from a place of love, you know, to get their attention as a last resort. You know, I'm not a fan of public humiliation. I'm not a fan of whippings and beatings and things like that. And I know a lot of people are. You know, you feel like that's what's missing. But, bro, talk to half the people behind bars, half the people in jail. They got beatings. They got whipped. And they still ended up where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to raise your children where you can, they can understand what you're saying, you know, because that's what's missing. True understanding and true self-worth, you know, self-esteem. These are issues that happen when children, they feel like they ain't shit, you know. They feel like they're not worth anything. And her standing here trying to mug for the cameras and everything, that's not it. But yeah, let's look at this again.
You know the whole city of Chicago looking for you, right? You and your little friends. Because you was grown yesterday. You was grown. And you was going to jump somebody. So now they looking for you. You know that, right? You know I'm not helping you, right? You know the whole city of Chicago.
And by the way, it says waking up as a parent to one of them badass motherfuckers in Chicago. Mother effers, right? And to me, that's one of the most disgusting uses of a disgusting word. You know, it's a disgusting word, but this is one of the most disgusting uses of that word when it comes from a mother. Like, I hate to see a mother refer to her own child as a motherfucker. Do you not understand what words mean? You're a mother and you're calling your son a motherfucker. Do you understand what that means? Do we understand what words mean? You're putting a bad energy into the world, and we're seeing what the result of that is. Waking up as a parent to one of them badass motherfuckers in Chicago. And wouldn't be helping, because hell no. With an emoji. Alright. Look, guys, there it is. Alright, that's what's going on. And I only highlight this because I ain't out here trying to humiliate black people and be a race traitor and a self-hater and all of that stuff. That's not me. You please don't get it twisted. I want to see us do better, all right? I love people. I love human beings, black people, white people, every type of human being I do, you know, and I wish all of us the best. But right now, too many of us black people are out here sick, man, you know, and until those of us who know better speak a little bit louder, you know, until those of us who know better give a damn, you know, and show them that we give a damn, none of this is going to change, guys. We have to admit that there's a problem here, man. There's a problem. If you want to see better for our children, then we have to demand better of ourselves. That's where it starts. And we have to start letting people know that things like this are not okay. It's not okay to raise violent children. It's not okay to have ourselves be represented by a gutter pop culture. Everything that they listen to in their headphones is telling them to be terrible people. You know, this is the truth. We don't even pretend to care anymore with our pop culture, you know, our hip hop music, our songs. We don't sing of love anymore. You know, we don't rap about education and upliftment anymore. We don't even have fun anymore. And that's a problem. And the results of that are in the smallest of us, the youngest of us, the ones who look to us for an example. So when they act out, how can that not be a reflection of how too many of us are? But anyway, guys, that's it. You know, you can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of this. Don't come in here looking to argue with me, guys, because I don't really feel like doing that. I will shut that shit down in an instant. Okay? But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. I will catch you on the next one, guys. This is The Gospel, according to Mark with a C. Rock on.